Welcome to the Bar Talk Podcast. I am your host, Jordan Shabbat of the Speedwell Tavern, joined always by Karl of the New World Tavern.
Hello, everybody.
And Dan Mahoney of the BBC.
What's going on?
And that's British Beer Company.
The Burger Beer Company, you know?
Burger Beer Company.
We're like IHOP.
We are a hospitality focus group based out of downtown Plymouth, Massachusetts. We're here at Tavern on the Wharf, which is located at Sixtown Wharf in Plymouth, Massachusetts. We've got a lovely space here, a lot of space here. You could probably have a wedding, a concert, or something here, but they gave us a nice little spot. Great food, great beers. Come check it out. And this is our first episode in a little while. We got some catching up to do, but the Q&A episodes have been going so well. You guys have been sending such good questions to us, and I'll just be honest, they're really, really easy for us because we don't have to think about anything to talk about. So we're just going to keep it rolling with another Q&A. Andy, as always, has curated these questions for us, and we're going to do our best to solve your problems.
So question one?
Yeah, question one.
All right, so this one comes from Christine Pat. It says, when you go out as a patron, do you ever have... Sorry, let me try that again. Whenever you go out as a patron, do you ever have to bite your tongue when you hear people being rude to another bartender?
Well, usually when I sit on the side of Karl, I just tell him to shut up, it's not your bar.
Well,
relax, lay off a little
bit. It
bit.
is. Like if I tell a bartender to bite my tongue?
Which
yes,
I've sadly seen say, son.
Yeah, man, it's tough. That's tough. I'm a little bit overly nice, though. I think when I go out, and my wife's very objective, so we always go out together, and she's like, no, if we are not getting what we're paying for, you have to say something. And I'm always like, it could just be having a tough night. Let it go, let it go, let it go. But
that could be stating the facts, not being rude.
Yeah, it's all tone.
Yeah, it's all about tone.
Stop being
right.
so
But it's
sensitive.
just not in my nature either way.
And it's
I'm
not
just
about you being rude. It's if you hear someone being rude, are
Right.
you likely to speak up?
Right, and I was getting to that. So if someone else was
He
being...
getting to that.
2 hours later, he'll tell us his answer.
It's only an hour-long show.
The empathy of like that, like not wanting to be like the person that like bums the waitress out, like saying, hey, this is wrong or whatever, like that goes tenfold when someone's being an asshole. Usually what I'll do is I'll probably like make a comment to the waitress, something like that, like, hey, that guy's being a real dick, huh? Like whatever, just so they know that there's someone else that kind of understands that they're on their side. But I ain't going to go up to the dude or the girl and say like, yo, can you chill out? Like I'm going out to have a good time. You know what I mean? But it is tough. It is tough biting the tongue. I don't know about you guys.
Well, like you said, it's usually Karl. But, no, I mean, I do kind of the same thing. It was like, hey, that guy's a dick. Or like, I laughed a lot when he told that guy off. But I do think as much as you want it, you can make the situation 1,000 times worse by saying something to that guy. And like, now he's fired up, and now 2 people are fired up, and Karl's just sitting over in the corner dancing, and everyone's getting scared, and it just gets weird and out of control. So, I don't know. As much as you want to say stuff, it probably isn't your place to do it, so I don't.
Yeah, so I guess the question is, if I'm there as a patron, I probably wouldn't say anything. If I was there as the owner or a manager or a boss of somebody who was being... somebody said something rude to them, then yeah, I would probably say something to that person.
Right. And the definition of rude across the board is always different.
Correct.
If it was something harmless, misinterpreted, or something like that, then it's like, all right, well, let's feel him out and see if it continues. Let's feel her out, see if it continues. But, and that's me being as, like you said, the boss. But if I'm another patron on the side of it, I'm going out to fucking relax. Like, it's not my battle to fight. These people should be trained sort of to be able to handle it.
And they're all going to get somebody rude.
Right.
If you come into this job or you thinking that everybody's going to be nice, then you're in the wrong crowd.
Correct. Yeah, I would say I'm not going to fight anyone's battles, but if there was something physical and it was like a real disruption, like someone was trying to get over at a bar or a bartender or something like that, then yeah, I might stand up and be like, yo, like chill out, whatever.
You gotta intervene if it's extreme or something like that, but not if like, this beer sucks. It's not your place to say anything because it's not your place.
Says, hey, check out that waitress. Boy, she's put on a lot of weight. She's really fat, and they were being rude that way. Then I might say something.
Yeah, that's true.
I might say, hey, dude,
like chill, man.
Relax.
Yeah. What's the point of you saying? Right. I agree. That's a good point, Karl.
So yes, you bite your tongue sometimes,
Okay.
but not all the times.
So this one is more of a manager's and owner's question. And this one comes from Tina Brown. She says she needs some advice. I hired a newbie bartender a few weeks ago. She sucks. She's timid, gets stressed out easily, and is weak. I have seen a slight improvement since she began, but not much. I have personally taken her on as my pet project. Here's why. She wants to learn so badly, is always early, she never says no if we need a last-minute fill-in. The regulars like her.
I'll get you the question.
It's not a short one, Carl. Should I just can her and look for an experienced bartender like I should have done in the first place? Any suggestions on building her up and continuing to give her a chance?
I want to take this one first?
Yeah.
Go
Carl
for
can
it.
take it.
If she's probably a really good employee, just in the wrong position. So she would probably be relieved if you step her down a little bit. Make her an expediter, make her
Server.
hostess. So yeah, get her off the bar because she's not comfortable at it. And wait, and build that up in the next year or two so that she is stronger at what she's doing and she has more confidence in doing what she's doing. So I wouldn't say fire her because good employees are hard to come by. And if she really wants to work there and if she's really a good employee, just in a bad situation, then I would say keep her, but take her off the bar. Don't fire her.
Well, the way I look at it, too, it's like training a new bartender like that is like having training wheels on your bike. You shouldn't just throw someone that's brand new into the field on like a Friday, Saturday night. Maybe instead of taking them off the bar right away, start off like Monday afternoons where it's most parts is a very slow shift. You can kind of do that, walk them that way. Or maybe they need more training and they should still be falling around, like Karl said, bar back them or even wait tables. That's it's not an easy job, but it's a little bit of a step down from bartending. Like,
A little less pressure.
exactly.
Right. I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit because I agree with both you guys. But I can see the other end of it where you have a rest of a staff where they could use some support sometimes. Like, you might have a really good bartender, but they're like, shit, like, why isn't the manager helping me out as much? They just hired this person off the street who isn't doing a good job. Like, yeah, they're showing up and they're doing but they're like a kiss ass. They're a teacher's pet. And this manager is spending all this time with this bartender that's not doing a good job instead of doing other things to make our job easier. And we're showing up doing a good job every day. So, like Karl said, maybe bringing it down a notch, less responsibility. Try a server role, expediter. I like that. I don't have those at Speedwell, but that's a good one. Get familiar with the menu, get used to the pace of the place. Maybe you don't have some hospitality experience. But good character is really hard to find, especially right now.
Especially if your customers like it too.
Yeah, if the customers like her, then, yeah, absolutely. I would say, and it's not just for the benefit of her, but it's for the benefit for the whole morale of the staff is the point I'm making is like,
well, you can't go based on what the rest of your staff. If they're trying, a lot of people forget what it's like to have their first job. We all forget we started there. Like we're all there at some point. Right. So, I mean, they all need to learn patience. Like I said, they shouldn't. And it all depends on how long this person's been bad for. If they're on 2 months and they suck, then yeah, maybe that's not the job for them. But if it's been a couple weeks and they're only working a couple shifts a week, then that's they're still learning. Like,
good point.
But you're going to hurt your own business if you have somebody in a position that they shouldn't be in.
But not if you're saying the customers like her. So that's the big thing.
Yeah,
right
but then there's the intangibles like the volume. Like, are you selling as many beers? Are you? Are people? She has a really nice personality. But people are like, I really like the girl we had, but I don't want to go back because we didn't get what we were supposed to get.
Right. It took me 20 minutes to get a drink.
Right. And they feel bad for her, so they tell the manager they like her, but they'd wish that they had a better experience.
See. I think winning customers over, and if they like you, they'll come back. Like it's a thing. It's like that's part of the question.
That was the part where you interrupted.
Yeah. When you're telling Annie to talk to him,
it was a good one though. It was very informative. I actually feel like I've had like a couple of employees like that.
I think we all have.
Yeah, and there was like a couple where I was like, ugh, this is a lost cause. The personality wasn't there, the character wasn't there. But then there's a couple, where there works in progress, and yeah, maybe I'm not putting them in a situation where they'll succeed. Mm-hmm. Like Karl said, find a role for them, build them up, and then that you might be rewarded in the a year or so, maybe even less.
That could be your rock star bartender a year.
100%.
Well, this one is kind of a dovetails right into that. This is from Amber Davis. How many shifts do you expect a new employee to work before you can leave them alone on a shift?
Depends on the employee. I think we have a set amount. It's 3 nights, 3 days. But some people are ready to go before that. Some need more than that. So it really kind of depends on the situation.
Depends on their experience.
Yep.
Their personalities.
All that fun stuff. So I think
some people
Some people get to pick up
Position.
stuff quicker. Like, and
Right.
it all depends on the place too, because where our spot, we don't have giant recipes for everything.
Yeah.
But then you can go to a cocktail bar and you have 1,000 different things. Like my first bartender job, I had flashcards that I was required to memorize. So
Right.
I trained a lot longer in that job.
Right.
But so it all depends on the spot and situation.
Yeah, I agree. And then position too. I mean,
Yep.
like BBC only has bartenders.
Yep.
Carl, you have, I think, 7 different kinds of positions over there, if I'm going to pull a number out of a hat. And I have maybe 3 or 4, bouncer, whatever, if you're going to count that. But, yeah, I guess it depends on the position and how well the person bounces back. Now, someone that might take a little longer doesn't mean they're necessarily going to be bad for the job either. Maybe they're more thorough, maybe they're more careful, maybe the shifts they came in to train on, there wasn't much to do. So it all depends.
So this next question is from Shay Borders. How many people can one bartender handle, mostly serving canned beer, few mixed drinks, and running a small deep fry or no wait staff? Asking so I can start to make a schedule that's fair in workload and tips.
So this is going to be like a dive bar where like the bartender's got like a little bar menu and they're making sandwiches. I've been to a couple of these. So
Yep.
I actually worked at one for a little while and we weren't quite doing food yet. But basically like you have kind of like, Dan, this is a great question for you because the BBC used to do like stuff go hogs and shit like that. So I don't know. I don't know how you would really measure that volume. I never worked in a place like that before.
I think it depends on the person too. Like I don't think I would be I can handle a lot of volume of people, but if I had to cook too, like I don't know how comfortable I'd feel doing like as many people as I do with the regular bar.
It's all up to the
Right.
person that's doing it.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't think there's any number that you can give, 10 people per person, 15 per person. You just don't know. I mean, if you could have 15 people at the bar that are all set and ready to go and 15 people behind them, and that one person can take care of all that, and then you might get 30 people that walk in all together and they're in the weeds.
Right.
Then throw a couple of fish and chips and stuff in there, and then good luck. That's a mental meltdown right there.
I'm going to make the
That's
point.
a good way to do it.
Well, I'm going to make the point too, like the place where maybe I'm going to try not to profile too much, but like a dive bar where the bartender's cooking, like the clientele isn't going in there expecting a 5-star meal. Like they're getting bar food. Like they're getting straight up bar, like the bartender's cooking.
You're thinking
bar.
in the mindset of a regular though. Like if it could just be a random person like walking in there, like, oh, I'm going to get this best food. ever.
Right,
That's-
but are you really looking to impress that person if you're a dive bar? You don't care.
should look to impress every person, Jordan.
I look forward to owning a dive bar one day where I don't have to, but yeah. But
So this one comes from Brian Neal, and it says it's a bartender question. He says, when a beer keg goes empty, do you say the keg kicks or you blew the keg? He said he had a heated discussion about the terminology.
I want to know what he thought, because if he's blowing kegs, then
It doesn't say, it doesn't say what side of the argument he fell on.
I would say kick. I say
I'm going to kick the keg guy.
Kick the keg.
Kick the keg.
All right. It's pretty short. Sweet. Interesting debate I had with a fellow bartender today. She told me I wasn't cooking my simple syrup down on the stove. I was just wasting my time. I'm sorry. If I wasn't cooking my simple syrup down on the stove, I was just wasting my time. I've always just stirred hot water into my sugar or even just gave it a long shake. If I'm just making a bit. I've done my research and it's definitely a thing, but her simple syrup even has a color to it and a reduction process has made it pretty thick. Any thoughts?
I always thought that you do a 1-to-1 ratio, so a cup of water to a cup of sugar, and you shrink it down by 25%. That's what I was taught. So you have to reduce it. You can't just add hot water to, because it's thin. Like it's supposed to be a syrup. It's called syrup. I think syrup. I don't think sugar water. I think something a little thick, like I would put on my pancakes. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's just always how it's done. And like super thick is one thing. Then you're making candy, but simple syrup should be a little bit viscous, a little bit thicker than hot water. I don't know.
I have honestly never made simple syrup, so I have no idea. That's why I employ Plymouth's best bartender, Matt Tiso, that makes that stuff for me.
Oh, that's right. Karl, what about you, man?
I think it depends on what you're making for a drink. I think you can get away with the hot water and the sugar at some point, depending on if it's just a quick margarita or like a house margarita, then you're all set. If it's a foo-foo drink that you could really tell the simple syrup, then maybe you would do that. But I think in a dive bar, regular bar situation, I think you can get away with hot water and syrup.
The way I always looked at it was like if the concentration was too light, it's great for bar costs. You're giving people water, replacing other things that go into the drink, but I don't know. Syrup.
All right. This one comes from Tyler Brummer. He says he's got a quick question. Do any of you bartenders work with their significant other? And what are your guys' thoughts about, it's a direct quote, pulling tail from behind the rail?
I don't know.
I have worked with an ex-girlfriend of mine, and there's a reason she's an ex-girlfriend of mine now. So I highly do not recommend it. It's terrible because you can't talk to that person like you would talk to another coworker without them saying you're being mean to them. So
No, wait, so I misunderstood. So, like, it's working with a girlfriend, but then he says pulling tail from behind the rail. So
I feel like it's a two-part question.
It is a two-part question. Okay, cool. So working with, I've never worked with a significant other.
smart man.
Not once. I've tried getting Yun to work for me. My wife's name's Yun. I've tried getting my wife to work with me a couple times, and she's smart enough to say no. But pulling tail behind the rail, that's how I met my wife.
That's how I met my girlfriend.
You're off quiet.
No comment from Karl.
I have
First time ever.
I have never worked with a significant other, and that's all I have to say about that.
All right. This one comes from Rochelle Dupree. Says, I got a question. We have been a one bartender per shift bar forever. Recently, we've had a few busy nights where washing the dishes and ice bins filled and a minimal stocking was needed for a brief moment throughout the shift. Management want to have two bartenders instead of a really good bartender and a bar back. How do I address this without seeming greedy?
Jordan, this is your favorite question, so
Yep.
take it away.
It's also Carl's, but
Yep.
I would love to take this one first.
Too late. Yeah, you can't do it.
Here's the deal. How do you address it without seeming greedy? Well, you have to understand what you're asking of your manager. So the manager, from a manager's perspective, bartenders, for those listening maybe that aren't familiar with the hospitality industry, don't get paid full wages unless they're doing some sort of management thing. Usually. It's like $4.50 an hour in Massachusetts, I think, is minimum for a bartender because you're collecting tips. Why am I going to pay a bar back who has to get paid minimum wage, which is, I believe, 11 right now in Massachusetts, and it's going up to 15 pretty soon? So why am I going to pay a bar back $15 to do nothing but wash dishes when I can have another bartender on, serve, let's just say theoretically, 50% more drinks, and pay, let's just say, 65 to 70% less per hour, better service? Why would I pay a bar back? Now, that being said, I pay bar backs. I get it. I have two really, really good bartenders that work Saturday nights. It's the only night I have a bar back. I want to retain these good bartenders. I want them to make money. So I'll pay a bar back for 5 hours to come in and do dishes and clean the floor and help them stock beer and run around and stuff like that. It's a case-by-case thing. Do I see both sides of it? Selfishly, if I was an asshole, I would take the bar back off and go with 3 bartenders on a Saturday night. I'm not an asshole. I like my staff. Try to keep them happy. How are you going to convince your manager to do that? Work for a better manager. I don't know. Work for someone nicer, like a sucker like me.
Karl?
I agree 100%. I think there's a lot of bartenders, not saying that this is the case, that come in, they say, well, we need a food runner, we need a bar back, we need this, we need that. And then when you say, well, instead of that, I'll just put another bartender on, and then you both can get the job done. And all of a sudden they say, oh, you know what, that's okay, I can handle it myself. Because they want the ease of the job, but they want to make all their tips.
Right.
So if I pay somebody per hour to come in and help them, it doesn't cut into their tips. If I bring on another tipped personnel, then they're going to have to split 50-50, and they don't want to do that. So, yeah, it all depends. Can you handle a job and it's busy? Well, tough shit. Some days it's going to be busy, and some days it's going to be slow. I mean, that's the industry. But don't ask for help when you really, really don't need it. You just want an ease to the job. So if that bar is really that busy, put on 2 bartenders. Because really what you want to do is you want to take care of the customers.
And if you're doing a better job of serving, I get you pulling tips. But you're thinking about it like you're cutting whatever you made that day you were super busy right in half. No, not so much. You might have made more tips that day if you could get to certain customers and sell them more drinks. in that period of time that you were there. Having an extra bartender enables you to do that in a more relaxed sense. You can spend more time with the customer. You could upsell. There's other ways to make that money. I guess that's a very sort of managerial way to answer the question, but it's true. And then the business makes more money. The turnover is quicker because people aren't sitting there waiting to close out their tabs, waiting to pay for it, waiting for their second round of drinks, waiting for their food to get picked up at the window. There are two people doing it at the same time. So theoretically, the volume should be higher. And with higher volume, more tips.
Well, I think it's too. You look at it had to have been a little more than just a little bit of stock and a little bit of ice for them to put another person on, because everyone gets their ass kicked. So that's just part of being a bartender. If you don't, then you work at a crappy bar.
Right.
And we all need a little help sometimes. But if you need enough help where you need that extra set of hands, then maybe you do need 2 bartender shifts on. Plus, there's ways around it where you can not all have to close at the same time. I think bartenders are scientists when they figure out how to figure out their hours so they still make money. So. Right. They're the best accountants in town if you just need them to affect their own money. So
it's a very good point.
All right, so this next one comes from Chris Sutari, and I'm going to apologize twice for mispronouncing his name. I'm sure I did, and because I do exactly what he's complaining about. It says, this makes me nuts. He hates it. He says, what does the phrase, when you get a minute, mean to you? He says he hears it and cringes, and I say that all the time.
And he is what? Is he a customer? Is he a bartender? Is he a
I
server?
assume he's employed in a bar, but it doesn't say specific.
So the customer says, when you get a minute, I'll take another beer, for example. Is that the question?
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me.
I think we all do it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I say
even
it
if
all the time.
yeah, I want to say I probably do too.
I don't say I don't know. Maybe there's something tone wise. I don't say when you get a minute. I'll be like, hey, no rush.
Yeah.
Whenever.
Well, I think
but it's
there's
the
a
same
different
thing.
situation. If you're halfway done with your beer, but you know you're going to have another, and the bartender happens to be right in front of you, you can say, hey, I'll take another beer when you get a minute.
Right.
Meaning, I'm going to take one soon, but if you have other things to do, just keep me in mind.
It's
But
probably
there
all
are times where
situational
my
too.
beer is empty, and I don't say, when you get a minute, I'll just say, I'll take another beer.
Right.
You'll demand another beer.
Right. So
Right.
I think that if you say, when you get a minute, it means I want one, but I'm not empty.
Yeah, this dude sounds a little bit too sensitive. They're not, for the most, unless he's got somebody that's saying it in a patronizing way. But it doesn't sound. I don't take it. I want that empathetic customer.
Right.
That's
I think it's the customer saying, "Hey, listen, I know you're busy, so
yeah. Whenever you get a chance, just keep me in mind.
yeah, keep me in mind."
If they're
I'm
yelling across the
coming
bar
up.
too, hey, when you get a minute, that's one thing. But if
True.
it's just especially if it's a regular bar, when you get a minute, I think it's almost when I do it, it's oh, I don't need it right now, but
Right.
put me on your queue.
Right,
or
but if they're
something
going,
like that.
hey, when you get a minute,
Yeah, shaking their
like a
glass
dick.
at you and stuff like that. When
Right, that pissed me off too.
16 shots, please. Yeah, I think that's where you. So
Or you get those people that come up to the bar and say, "When you get a minute, can I get a?" And they turn around and they say, "What do you guys want to drink?"
Yeah.
what do you have on draft?
Yeah.
I don't want the menu.
All right, this one comes from Taylor Escobar, and it says, what's the nickname you're known for around work? Carl?
What is the nickname you're known for around work?
Good thing this is an X-rated.
Is it
tagged show.
what I'm known for? Or is it what everybody else knows me for?
Let's go. Let's go.
Whatever's funnier.
That's a hard one to do on yourself. I think I'm
You don't hear
mostly
people
known
in the
as
talk
a really nicely dressed, good-looking
That's not a nickname.
owner.
You know what's?
Yeah.
You know
a
what's-
nickname?
Nickname.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, you know what's flattering for Carl?
Nickname.
Carl's his nickname. You say Carl in Plymouth,
There's-
everybody
yeah,
knows
know
who
it's
you're
Carl.
talking about.
Yep.
There's no question.
Could be 3D Carl.
I mean, you almost have the same thing,
Flat
though.
Carl, yeah. Yeah, I guess
I
none
don't really-
of us really have nicknames.
Yeah, I might get my last name a lot, but that's it.
I mean, I get Jordo,
yeah.
but
Well, let me rephrase it. What's the best nickname in your restaurant?
best name in my restaurant?
Yeah.
Of somebody that
Of someone that
of
works
somebody
for you.
that's in
Yeah.
there.
That's a good one.
There's really not a lot, and usually if you have a nickname, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, yours has to be Seahorse.
It's.
That's-
I was gonna say it's
Yeah.
Seahorse.
and then mine's
my-
Pumpkin because that's the only person that has a
Pumpkin.
nickname in my place. So
My kitchen manager, his name is Christopher Morse, but he grew up, they got homework assignments, whatever, classless, and it said Seamorse, and then people started calling him Seahorse, and he decided to get this big rainbow tattoo of a seahorse on his leg, and you picture a guy named Seahorse, this is not what he looks like.
No,
no.
not even by a far.
He's just always frowning. Nicest guy in the world, but he's just got a natural frown. Big dude, just doesn't say much. And he's Seahorse. He's my kitchen manager. That's the best nickname at Speedball.
And I don't think you can give yourself a nickname.
No, you
I
absolutely
think
can't.
Yeah, it's
Karl's
the nickname
tried.
everybody gives you.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be known for, like, the bitchy one at that bar.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows which one you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
That's not what you want to have.
Very good point.
I got in trouble for pumpkin. I was out with this girl, and we're at the Mayflower. Pumpkin was on the bar, and she brought up the tab. I'm like, "Thanks, Pumpkin." And the girl's like, "Did you just call her Pumpkin?" That's her name. That's all I know her as.
Listen, Andy, she put it on her job application, so
should
you
have.
can call her Pumpkin.
Yeah, but I
She
feel like she
sure
needs a
did.
name tag just so I don't get in trouble by calling her.
Let's give her a pumpkin sticker.
point.
Hi, my name is
Right.
Pumpkin Sticker.
All right, this one comes from Lee Luxian. Sure, that's not right either.
Enjoy his hotel.
Yeah.
Every time.
What
Always got the weirdest name.
right? What are your favorite closing speeches to yell? My top two: either drink your beer or leave it here, but you can't take it with you, and you gotta go. And the other one is get an Uber or get a friend, but more importantly, get out.
That's also a classic. I can't remember. I don't know. I guess, Dan, this one's on you because I can't remember last time I closed the bar.
I say, I want to leave. Go home. That's it. I mean,
Yep.
you gotta plead to people's sympathetic side there in that situation. But I mean, I don't think I have.
Let's go. Lauren
I
Otto's
mean,
on in 30 minutes.
Well, you need that. You'd say the third one's coming. You better get out of here.
When back in the day when I used to just yell, like count it down. So like when it was 10 minutes, I'd go 10 minutes,
Yeah.
5 minutes. But I didn't want to entertain them too much because then they want to stick around for all the jokes.
Right.
You want to
Right.
get them the fuck out of there. Don't be entertaining and funny.
I had
Be
to tell them,
intimidating.
give me all your
Be
money
angry.
and leave. But
Yeah.
you know that doesn't work all the time because I still haven't gotten anyone's all their money.
All right. Has anyone ever messed around with tobacco-infused cocktails? I thought it said Tabasco and I misread it. But no, it's tobacco-infused cocktails. I've tried tinctures and simple syrup. Any other suggestions?
The closest I've ever done to mess around with a tobacco-infused cocktail is when I accidentally drank a butt can at a party. Oh! And I mean, I just sip and I spit it.
and now he can't stop himself.
And now I've been smoking cigarettes all my life. No,
Just
I didn't
drinking
smoke
butt
cigarettes.
cans your
Yeah. No, that sounds gross.
Yeah, let's.
I was never a smoker, but I why?
Just garnish
Why
a
would
Bloody
you do
Mary with a Newport 100.
Throw a cool Virginia Slim in your martini. Let's do this.
I told you, Carl. I thought it said Tabasco. I thought I misread it. But
I've had a Tabasco cocktail.
Yeah, Tabasco, I
Prairie
mean-
fires, baby.
Oh
Or
my
Bloody
God.
Mary.
If
You
you
ever have
hate
a
your
prairie
life,
fire?
That's tequila and hot sauce, right?
That's all it is, baby.
Dude, that's people that hate themselves.
Little
That's what they
squirt of lime
drink.
juice. No, I guess I hated myself.
Well, we know
I
that.
was on a big touche.
You weren't the only one.
Yeah, and he was around you after they hated you too.
all right, so this one comes from Diane Marie. It says, at the end of your shift, do you close out your customers' credit card tabs? I've always been against this. Any tips after shift change should be left for the previous bartender. I think when you close people out so they can tip you, it's tacky. Sorry.
Oh, for Christ's sake, start over.
And you can yell at me when they're too long. And possibly prevents them from staying through shift change.
So you're saying, do you cash them out through shift change?
Yes.
Yes.
I ask. I always say, do
Yep.
you mind? I'm not going to demand you. Well, at the end of the night, I demand you give me all your money. But if it's like switching from day to night, I like, do you mind tapping out with me? I'm leaving. We start your new tab with
But
the
it all
next
depends
person.
on the size of tab, too. If somebody just got a Bud Light, they're sitting there, they just got in, and you're changing, I'll say, hey,
Yeah,
I'll
well, that's
transfer the
if
tab
you just
over,
got
you're all
there, I'll transfer it over without asking.
but if it's a $100 table that's,
Yep.
just finishing up, I don't mind handing them a bill and saying, hey, guys, we're doing a shift change. You're welcome to stay. Somebody so-and-so will take care of you, but, I'm going to cash out.
And I think the only time I've had that issue is when you're doing cocktail tables. It's like, oh, you have a $100 bill. Like, well, we're not leaving. I'm like, you don't have to. Just give me some money.
Do you think it encourages people to leave then?
I don't think so.
It
It could. Yeah. If they go from me to Karl, they're leaving. And they're coming with me. But like,
But I think that's mostly at the bar. I think if you have
Yeah.
a table, then that server is going to wait because they know it's a $100 tab that they're going to make $20 off that. They're going to wait another half.
Oh, I
hour
wouldn't
before they
leave. Yeah, if I
Right.
have a giant tablet and that's my only tab,
Right.
I'm
They're
hanging
gonna
out
wait for
until
that
they
one
leave.
table, and
yeah.
you know what? Even if they get another couple of drinks, you say okay, and all of a sudden you got a $200 tab, and it's worth waiting for them an hour to catch
Yep.
that last table up.
You're
I hate that
emotionally
whole.
invested.
I hate the whole tacky thing too. Like it's not tacky. Like if you're sitting at a fucking restaurant where you're spending $40 a steak and you're at a table and the waitresses switch over, and a waitress comes over and says, "Yo, can you?" That's tacky.
Yes.
But like if you're sitting at a goddamn bar having a couple drinks and some chicken wings, like don't act like you're doing something that's not tacky already. Like like the bartenders are switching over. They already got 30 other things to worry about. They're trying to get out of there. Like, well, how would you like it? You know what I mean? If like you were sitting at your desk and a thing came through the printer and all of a sudden they were like, nope, you're gonna stay here for another hour and a half because this person, you know what I mean? Like
Right.
sent you an email. Like don't throw tacky around. Like I get it. If you're sitting at a table, I think that's where we draw the line.
Yeah.
Like the waitress has to stay. But if you're sitting at the bar and a bartender comes in and is trying to set up for their night shift and they're there to make money and they're not making much per hour and this person's taking care of you for 45 minutes, an hour and a half, yeah, you want to tip them out. Like don't throw around
I
tax.
think most people want to, too. I
Yeah,
mean, if they
right.
had a good time, they'll probably
Right.
want to
If
pay you their money.
if you're a customer asking this question, you're tacky. Like, you know what I mean? If you're a bartender, then you don't understand procedure.
Right. You should wait until you finish off the table if you want, or transfer it to the other server.
Yep.
All right, this one comes probably from the best name we've had on the show, Rusty Harnessed.
Yes.
Like it.
Yep.
Pitching
And
prospect for
it
Just
says,
say, baseball player.
San Diego Padres.
I put my lucky $2 bill in the bottom of my tip jar. Anyone else put good luck in their jars to start off?
I sacrifice a leprechaun in mine every day. But no, I don't.
Reading.
Make Reedy go sacrifice goats out in the back alley of BBC.
That's actually the first time I've heard of that.
Really? I used to do it all the time. I used to put a $5 bill in the bottom of my bucket on solo bartending shifts every time I walked in.
That sounds like someone not
Why?
confident in their
Just to make
bartending
sure that
abilities.
people knew- yeah.
No, you couldn't see it. It was tucked under the register. It was just for me to like. It was a marker for me. Like this is my bucket now because usually I'd be coming in at night. We're talking about shift change.
Yep.
And they take all their money out, and I'd throw so that bucket doesn't get used for something else. It was a force of habit. It was like a procedural thing at my first restaurant where there were like 30 bartenders. It was a banquet set up. And then when I went on to another bar, that was always, if it was a solo shift. If it wasn't, I wouldn't do it because it's my money. I'm splitting
30
it.
bartenders are a lot.
Yeah, there was 8 bars at that bar, at that restaurant. It was a banquet restaurant. There was like a bunch of rooms and stuff. Anyway, but yeah, it was like a marker, $5 bill. If I didn't have a 5, it was something else usually, but most of the time,
You like a
$5
3?
bill.
That,
Maybe a
was
$3
that $1,000 bill that existed for 2 days.
That was always my thing. Yep. It didn't cause me luck or anything. It was just to make sure no one grabbed my bucket.
All right. This one isn't technically a question. It comes from Jonah Nutter. Sent in,
That's a good name, too, right there.
Yeah.
It's a Karl name.
Jonah Nutter?
Jonah
Yeah.
Nutter sent in a picture of looks like it's a 1963 $5 bill. It says, you never know what you'll find in your bar drawer, only worth maybe $10. But
That's
still,
where that went.
But still a fun addition to the collection. Do you guys collect weird money when you
No.
attend a bar?
I actually hate when I get weird money like that. Like, I even have a thing where I don't like the old $100 bills with the small faces because sometimes the ATM tellers won't take them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, those get cashed into the bank deposit. But I don't want $2 bills. I don't want gold coins. I don't want foreign money. I don't want anything but regular money.
Right. Anything no one wants to get back in change.
Yeah, if you don't want it, why would I?
Right.
Sacagaweas.
So no, nobody collects money.
All right.
Well, we try to
Scrooge
collect
McDuck
money.
Yeah.
does. And
I mean, that's-
the
Why
kind
we're
Someone
of
came
doing
in and
this.
paid with a bunch of like silver $50. That'd be pretty sweet. I'd keep those.
when I worked in the city, you could tell the person that
Took the tea.
took the tea
That
the first time,
happened.
Yeah.
because they paid when $5 in gold bill, like
felt
the
like
the
such
dollar
Sacagaweas.
coins, yeah. But what are you gonna do? I get
Indigenous
it,
Peoples
but like
Day.
I don't want them.
All right. This is from Christine Pat.
Crispy.
This is actually the second question. Ladies and gents, I have a question. So this question, I don't know which one of you are ladies.
Carl.
Dan.
Maybe,
Two A said first.
So this question
I
may be
got that
stupid, but here it goes. I have an allergy to vodka, but love Bloody Marys. Is there anything else I could substitute instead of vodka?
Bloody Maria, baby.
Tequila.
Yes. Tequila.
You could probably do a
Who's
clear
allergic
rum.
to vodka?
Me and vodka aren't
Christine
friends.
Pat.
I can't.
Or mezcal. Mezcal's beautiful. So mezcal is like smoked tequila. What they do is when they boil it, it's over the husks of the agave plant, and the smoke gets into it, and it's kind of like, if you're not into it, it tastes like burnt rubber. But if you like scotch and stuff like that, like Elay Scotch, it's got this nice smoke flavor to it. Perfect for a Bloody Mary or tequila in general. It's great.
But I think you can do a clear rum too. Like they've almost
so?
kind of turned rum into the new vodka with every kind of possible flavor now.
Yeah,
it's probably,
that's true.
I don't know if it'll work, but in my mind it would.
Yeah.
I also don't like Bloody Marys, so I don't know.
Do you do Bloody Whiskeys? Like, yeah, you like your whiskey.
I don't want to ruin my whiskey. The Irish forefathers will be rolling over their grave.
Bloody whiskey is what you're doing in the toilet the day after you have a bunch of
After you have your prairie fires over there.
Carl's got nothing.
Nothing, Carl?
Yeah, who's allergic to vodka? I never heard that.
I don't know.
I can't drink vodka. Like,
I just read
if
the
I drink
Are
it
you allergic to it?
I don't think so. I don't know. Maybe I get sick to my stomach. I can have one vodka drink, and that's the only thing I have that night, and I will be sick to my stomach the next day.
I wonder if they could do if it's like a gluten thing, or I don't know, because vodka is vodka.
No, there's no gluten in it.
Yeah, right. Well, you could do a chelada too. You ever do one of those?
No.
You do like a Mexican lager.
you
or
could
like
put beer in it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Yep.
beer with
Beer and a Bloody Mary?
Yeah,
Yeah.
instead of
lime
booze.
juice, salt. Dude, it's actually, especially if you're really hurting. I did one in Brooklyn after my 30th birthday, and saved my life. Convinced. Delicious.
Just get a whiskey and some tomato soup, 2 straws.
So you do
There.
mess with your whiskey.
No, I don't do that. But you could.
All right, this one is from Patrick Sabatella. Is it just me, or does it annoy others that some customers assume I am not educated because I work in a restaurant? I really do. Really do I enjoy the food service industry. I have a degree. I just didn't like working in an office.
This is
Yes.
probably one of my number one pet peeves. That if I hear, they don't even say
What's
to
your
me.
real job?
Yes. Do you do anything else? No, I work 65 hours here every week. It drives me insane. Like, if you say it enough, that will be the thing that turns me red, like in anger. I've never said anything to someone, but I've watched a table berate their friends that did it. And it's like, listen, buddy, he makes more money than you do. You just don't know that because he works till 2 a.m. every night and sleeps till 2 in the afternoon. But, yeah, it aggravates me. Because those are people
But
who've never
there is a
done
stigma out there that a
Yep.
lot of people think because you're in the industry that you're not as educated as other people. But, I don't find that to be true.
I'm gonna say that it's changing though, because I feel like the hospitality industry, especially from the kitchen standpoint, in the mainstream is getting glorified more these days than it ever has. Where I don't think they even think about the education thing. They're just like, everybody thinks they're a foodie these days.
Yep.
Everybody likes, everyone's into craft this, beverage, craft cocktail that. So like, education might even pop them in their head. It's just, something. I think people go in a restaurant now more like curious than they do talking down to you. They're like, what do you know that I don't? Or can you make this thing I saw on TV? Like they're assuming you can do everything more than, at least hospitality wise, more than you're undereducated. That's the vibe I
I think more people do this job now. There are more people in the industry where it's not like maybe when my parents were growing up or something, no one did it. Or
Right.
they said they looked down for doing it. But most of my friends at this point have grown up at some kind of industry job like this. So
Right.
I
Whether
think
it
that's
even
helping.
whether it be
There's a lot of people out there that are educated that don't have a job.
Yeah.
correct, and they're in debt.
There's
There's a
nothing
lot.
more common than an educated derelict.
There's also some people with big jobs that aren't educated. So you
Right.
know.
Absolutely. Like President of the United States.
Whoa! Get off your soapbox.
Here we go. Next question.
All right, this one comes from Jessica Stallman. It says, have you ever have a fellow employee get in your face and try to fight you?
Yeah.
I broken up a fight from 2 employees, but never had someone jump in my face.
Yeah, I would have to say the same.
I think I've had a couple firings where, yes, I have. I don't want to get into it. We didn't come to blows, and thank God, because I would have died. But it was always like a doorman or something I can't size up. It's never like this little skinny like kitchen guy or a fucking
One of your
bar back.
waitresses.
Or one of my waitresses. No, one of my
They
any
could
of
all
my
beat you
waitresses
up.
would take me out.
Yep, all of them.
100%. I'm not even saying that facetiously. They would kill me. But yeah, yes, but I don't want to elaborate.
Okay. So that's that. Keenan Serena says, how do y'all get around the proof of income thing when, let's say, 90% of your income is unaccounted for in cash? I'd love to get my own place, but I have no way to prove my income.
You should be claiming your tips.
You should be claiming every
Yeah.
income you get. Uncle Sam needs to know that stuff.
I'll tell you what, deposit all your tips in a checking account and then provide your statements. And then at the end of the year, when you do your taxes, you claim those. I'm sorry, you got to give up at least 30% of those, probably more, depending on how much you're making in tips. But if you want to do, adult stuff like buy a house and get out loans, then you got to start telling the government that you're making that money. We talked about this on a previous episode. We get asked a question about claiming tips and stuff like that, and it sucks because when I was coming up, it wasn't super harsh. You could get away with it. You could take that cash home and no one ever know, and that's great when you're 21, 22 and you're bartending. But as you get older and you got to start doing these adult things, you got to keep record. It's your responsibility. If the bar you're working for isn't doing it, hey, that's great. You can kind of pull it, ride it as long as you can, but it's up to you. Deposit all that money in your bank account, provide your statements, claim your tips when you do your taxes at the end of the year, and there you go. There's your proof.
It's tough. You can't have it both ways. You can't live
right.
off the grid and then want to be on the grid. Unless you're
That's
showing
right.
up to buy a house with a big sack of money and you're paying for all cash, you're kind of out of luck.
Right.
So claim your tips.
All right. Hillary Edwards. Is it just me, or does anyone else have to fight the urge when you're out at a bar or a food establishment to not get up and help when you see they are in the weeds?
It's just you.
Yeah.
I hate people. I'm just joking.
I'll tell you what, that we went over this in another episode too, I think. It's the hardest thing to do is to not do anything.
Yeah.
So when you're in a bar, a restaurant, and you know they're struggling, and for good reasons, maybe it's, if they're struggling and they have 3 tables and 4 people at the bar, there's issues. But if they're really busy for some reason and they're understaffed and they're struggling and they're in the weeds, it's
You know
it's
where all the
stressful.
leaks are.
It's stressful
Yeah.
for us to be there and watch it because we know that we don't want to be in that situation. And we know that they don't want to be in that situation. But yeah, it's tough not to get up and say, listen, I'll run food for half an hour
Right.
if you want me to.
Not to mention, like you said, we were in the industry, so I'm sure the average decent person feels that way already. But we know where the leaks are.
Right.
We're seeing it happen. We know
Right.
when we watch it fall apart before it actually does, and it's like, oh
But
my god.
we're there saying, oh, these people are struggling, and the other customers there are saying, this place sucks because I'm not getting any service.
Not all of them, but yeah, some.
Do you know what
yeah,
I mean? So
right.
it's perception is reality. If you have a lot of industry people there, they know that you're in the weeds. They're going to be so relaxed about it, it's unbelievable.
Right.
But if you get just customers that are coming in and they're not getting the service, they don't say, oh, well, she's in the weeds. They say, oh, she must be a terrible hostess or a terrible bartender or a terrible server, because they're not getting the service, and that's where you get a bad reputation. They're going to say, well, this place sucks because we didn't get the service that we wanted.
Right.
The hardest thing
And
I
it could
find...
be anything. It could be a couple of sick calls. It
Yep.
could be it could be just not having enough
You
people.
can't
in
control
there.
the universe,
It could
man.
be,
Yeah.
it could be a party of 30 just came in and just put them all in the weeds.
Right.
Bar
Can't-
crawl.
Can't be
A
seen.
bar crawl, yeah. Yeah, it could be anything. So yes, it's really, really hard. It's one of my hardest things to do is to go out with my wife to a bar or restaurant and get slower service because they're in the weeds and not do anything to help them.
I said the hardest thing I think I have is I watch like you do behind the bar. I watch everything. I'm like, that guy's way too drunk. That person just threw up over there. And I want to tell these people this thing, but
Well, what kind of bar do you go to? This guy's too drunk. This guy's
New
too
World
drunk.
Tavern.
New World Tavern. I venture outside Plymouth, Karl. So I like. Sometimes you go to the city, and after a Celtics game or a Red Sox game, you see people falling over themselves.
Right.
But I don't know that person, so I'm not gonna hey, I'm the drunk guy too. That's not as drunk as these guys. And
Let me tell you how you do your job.
Yeah.
you know what you should do. And
Right. Oh, the worst. Oh, you didn't do it.
But that's hard. And I've been with my friends and that aren't in the business, and I'm like, that guy's wasted. Like, why are you staring at that person? I'm like, I can't turn it off.
Right. You can't.
It's hard.
You can't. It's really, really hard.
All right. Clarice Wallace says,
Hello,
who
Clarice.
uses gloves to mess with the bar floor mats?
To take them out and get rid of them, I do, because those things look
Say what?
gross.
Who
So-
uses gloves to mess with the bar floor mats?
Everybody
My
should.
cleaning guy.
You have a cleaning guy?
Everybody should.
Yeah, I do, because those things are terrible and they're awful.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like, it's so tough cleaning them too.
Power wash.
Yeah, power. Well, yeah, who has just a power washer chilling behind the bar?
Carl, I actually just steal New World's Tavern's bar mats after he gets done cleaning them.
It's not really a power wash. It's that little sprayer that comes out of the sink and it just kind of goes.
No, it used to be great when I had a big dishwasher to do it.
Last call.
That's last call. I guess we're wrapping up here. There was a lot of good questions, man.
I think we should do a final question.
I have a
that's
final
the thing.
question.
So last call, every portion of the show, we usually go around and do our own spiel, but I think we should do, as Karl said, for last call, we will answer one last question, round table, wrap it up.
How do you feel if I give this last question?
I think that's
How do you?
unacceptable.
I think that's why I want to do it then.
Our next question is from Dan Mahoney.
Dan Mahoney from
Dan Mahoney, what do you
Kingston,
got?
Mass. So I've been watching a lot of Lethal Weapon lately, and I don't know if you guys have ever had your Murtaugh moment where you just leave the day and I'm like, I'm too old for this shit.
Getting too old for this.
Have you had that? Have you had that happen? I mean, I've probably had it multiple
Every
times.
day for 7
Yeah.
years.
I think Karl and I just did it like an hour ago. We were sitting at the bar up the street. We were like, wait, we just got our asses kicked because it's Indigenous Peoples Day, and we still got to go do a podcast. And we were sitting there falling asleep at the bar, and we've had one beer in us. Like, the adrenaline was wearing off, and I was like, God damn, I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life, man. Like, I'm too old for this.
But I'll tell you, it's different where you say, I'm getting too old for this. I say that 1,000 times. And then one day, I have a really good day and really like it and say, this is what I'm here for.
Yep.
And it just keeps bringing you back.
That's what you need.
It's
Just
like
that thing to
golfing.
bring back.
I could have 17 shitty holes. If I par that last hole, I'm coming back again because I had a great round.
No, I just get it. It's like when I've drank enough of golf and don't know what I'm doing anymore. Then I'm like, yeah, I love golf.
I equate it to, and to Carl's point too, but like a little bit of a different perspective. Like, you always hear about like that person that's like 80 years old and they worked until they're 80 and then like they got forced into retirement, and like a year after they were always like sharp and they were with it, and like the year after they retired they died because like they lost momentum. You know what I mean? Like,
And they were 80.
well, they were 80, but like I'm just doing the extreme is for the example. Like, if I didn't keep going this speed and I just did a career change, I would be afraid to know what I'd be like, knowing this is the only thing I've ever known is the restaurant industry. And yeah, like every day I'm aching and fucking, like probably really unhealthy right now. And that's by my own hand too, but I could blame it on the restaurant lifestyle all I want, but it's by my own hand.
But you can say that for any job anywhere. People get up
Absolutely.
and say, I'm getting too old for this.
Right.
And it's just an excuse to say, that day sucked.
I don't know though, man. I think this job's a little different. I like to think you know what? Maybe that's what keeps me going. Is I think I'm doing something more difficult than anybody else.
Well, it's like
I'd
I
rather
could
do this
say-
and pour concrete. But
Like when I had someone throw a beer glass at me or something like that, I'm like, I'm too old for this shit. I don't need this anymore.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, you have that day where you have
All
an
your
awesome
favorite
day.
regulars
Yeah,
come.
you have this killer day. You leave from work, you're like, yeah, that was a great day. It's like, all right, I can keep doing this.
you get
So
a good
it's like-
review or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
so advice, if you feel that way, just keep going because hopefully it'll get better.
And no
if
matter
not-
where you are or what your profession is, like Karl said, it's all relative. Like,
Yep.
you're going to have bad days where you feel too old for, fucking, I don't know,
Someday, guys, we're going to have a bad podcast.
not anytime soon.
Andy Fish was like, I'm too old for this shit.
Let me just delete it.
Speaking of Andy and Fish, I'd like to thank Inebriat for once again producing this podcast. And again, I want to thank Tavern on the Wharf. They're located at 6 Town Wharf in Plymouth, Massachusetts. You can't miss it. Giant restaurant right on the water. Beautiful, well taken care of facility down here. If you guys want to submit some questions, you want to give us some feedback, or you have a request for something on the show, whether it be a guest or a subject we tackle, you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at bartalkcast, or you can shoot us an email at Gmail, bartalkcast@gmail.com. Again, I've been Jordan Shabbat from the Speedwell Tavern for today, and with Karl and Dan from New World and BBC. Thank you guys for listening.
Good night,
Peace.
everybody.